Welcome to Legacy Leaders. I'm your host, Ann Marie Sorrell, President and CEO of the Mosaic Group, your award winning global marketing, advertising, and public relations agency. Today, I am joined by Marlon Hill, attorney and lead mobilizer with U.S. Caribbean Strong Relief, and we will discuss the ongoing relief efforts for those countries impacted by Hurricane Melissa. Welcome, Marlon.
For having me, Anna Marie, my good sister. Always great to see you.
Always great seeing you as well. And thank you for all that you do in our community. I've been a part of this effort for, I think, since it started. And so I'm so happy to have you on the show and can't wait to, hear of all the great things that are happening and how you and so many others in the community are helping those that have been impacted by Hurricane Melissa.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's been several weeks since Hurricane Melissa had landfall in Jamaica. The strongest storm actually for over a century. Category 5, maybe a Category 6, devastating well over 6 parishes in Western Jamaica. So it's going to be a long road ahead.
Absolutely. Well, but before we, dive into the efforts for those who don't really know you, can you share a little bit about your professional background and your community involvement, moreover?
Well, I came here to the United States as a teenager, finished high school, went to Florida State University, business school, went to school in Costa Rica for a bit, and then came back. And I actually went to law school because of Hurricane Andrew. I couldn't come back home from Tallahassee, and Hurricane Andrew happened, Ann Marie. So I stayed in Tallahassee for law school because Hurricane Andrew had devastated South Miami-Dade County. And so if you're doing the math, that was 1992. And I'm celebrating my 30th year practicing law here in Miami now. Thank you so much. Applause, applause. I see all the emojis. So I'm a business lawyer. I represent family-owned companies, entrepreneurs, creative people, helping them build a legacy in their bank accounts and also to leave a legacy in the community as well. So that's what I do, and that's in part my passion.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Now, what is U.S. Caribbean Strong Relief and why was it established?
Well, Caribbean Strong is really just a figment of our connectivity as persons of Caribbean descent. We have certain common lived experiences, and one of those unfortunate common lived experiences are these disasters that happen in the Caribbean, whether it's an earthquake, hurricanes, eruption of volcanoes, and this came about when Hurricane Maria devastated Antigua and Barbuda and Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands years back. And then we partnered with the Global Empowerment Mission. You see the logo in the background. And basically, we helped to provide volunteer support, raising money, procuring the supplies necessary to respond to those storms. And so out of that came a relationship with Global Empowerment Mission and Caribbean Strong. We had a major concert with some of the top Caribbean artists in Antigua at that time. And then we just started to continue to organize to support each other. Ivan in Grenada, you had the volcano in St. Vincent. And as early as last year, Beryl, that almost hit Jamaica in the same location, actually, early last summer, when they were still recovering. So we basically are friends of Caribbean descent. Some of us are on island in the various islands in the Caribbean region, and many of us are here in South Florida and across the United States. We have a fiscal fund at the Miami Foundation where we were raising money to support the relief efforts at that time, and we kept it open in responding to the disasters over the last several years.
Awesome. And so Hurricane Melissa, as you said, one of the strongest storms to hit Jamaica and just in general, one of the strongest storms in history. They're still talking about, the meteorologists are still just in awe with all of the statistics of the storm. Can you share with us, because I think some people, because the news kind of covered it during the hurricane and then it just kind of disappeared from national news. So can you share with us some of the devastating impacts in Jamaica and some of the other Caribbean countries that they faced?
Well, Hurricane Melissa, which was a tropical storm, well over when she was just approaching, she was just taking her own sweet time in the warm waters around Jamaica. Jamaica had the warmest waters in the Caribbean region in October. of this year, and caused devastation on the southern parts of the Hispaniola, which is Dominican Republic and Haiti. And then she meandered around on the south coast of Jamaica for several couple of days before strengthening into a Category 5 storm, well over 250 miles an hour, and going at a very slow pace. And because of that, it caused tremendous damage over a 24-hour period in those six main parishes, so devastation in those six parishes, moderate damage in the central part of Jamaica, and the eastern part of the island, not so much, but some damage. But the devastation really is being felt in Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, and some damage in St. Anne, causing tremendous damage to the tourism and agricultural economy. Several hospitals destroyed, schools destroyed, well over 90,000 people displaced without shelter and without access to water and power. And so we're in the relief and recovery phase of the storm, and it's quite, the magnitude of it is extraordinary. It's something that Jamaica has never seen, or the hemisphere for that matter. And despite the international media leaving to their next story, it's very important that we kind of understand the magnitude of the impact of the storm. Well over 9.3 billion thereabouts estimates of damage from the World Bank, and the damage assessment is still being tallied. And that's just the physical damage. We haven't talked about the exponential damage to the economy as yet.
Yeah. And I think to even share with people, because I've expressed to people, because my family literally is in the path of it in Trelawney and Hanover. And it took days to even, hear if they were
Yeah.
alive. And then just, the fight to get them food and fresh water, drinking water, that is, because they were running out of the supplies that they had purchased before the storm. And I know that I've heard, and I don't know if you can confirm that, because of people having to pull resources from other parts of the island,
Yeah.
there's almost a shortage of food happening across the island in general. Even though the relief efforts are coming in, there's still so much damage and so many people impacted that it's still not enough. So can
Yeah.
you speak to that?
Yeah, the need is definitely greater than the aid that we have in place, right? So just to put this in perspective, St. Elizabeth, which is the parish that is south of your home parish, where your family is, and also in Hanover. I also have family in Hanover as well. I can only imagine how difficult it is to not be able to reach your family for days. So I certainly empathize with that. St. Elizabeth is the heart of Jamaica's agricultural economy. It's the food basket, so the food supply. Hurricane Melissa took away every leaf and branch and poultry, killing hundreds and hundreds of poultry for the agricultural economy. So there is going to be a shortage in the supply chain unless the country is able to supplement those losses with imports, right? So even though the eastern part of the island is still very much operational, and central part as well, both airports are open in Montego Bay and Kingston. Many of the roads are now clear, irrespective of damage to some areas, because you have to also remember that Jamaica is a mountainous country in the center part of the island. And so certain roads were difficult to reach and could only be accessible by helicopter in terms of delivering that aid. So there's so many prongs to this recovery for people to understand: the healthcare system, getting the kids back into school, getting small businesses back up and running, figuring out a balanced way to reopen the tourism economy. A great way to support the recovery is to actually visit in a way that is compassionate, and visit in a way that you could also potentially be a voluntarist, where you can figure out how to support the economy. So there's many different ways that we can look at how it is that as opposed to it just being a donation, Anne Marie. Think about it as an investment in a country getting its economy back up and running, because a third of the economy, um, by the estimates right now, is going to be impacted in Jamaica's GDP and how it brings in revenue to pay for the expenses that are on the books.
Wow. Well, Marlon, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be back to continue this discussion.
Welcome to the City of Miami Gardens, where purpose meets opportunity. From building tomorrow's infrastructure to answering the call when it matters most, to creating vibrant spaces and smart growth, every role counts. With 4-day work weeks, 100% paid health benefits, generous PTO, and a Florida pension plan, the City of Miami Gardens puts you first. Join the team that's shaping the future.
I grew up down here in South Florida, so for me, it's a little bit more personal.
For the Mesman & Dover Law Firm, it's about community.
For us, South Florida's our home. You all are our people.
Our family, our future.
The difference we'll make for you, your loved ones, your kids, matters, because to us, it's personal.
If you need us, call us 24/7 at 866-954-MORE.
That's 866-954-6673. The Mesman & Dover Law Firm, youraccidentattorneys.com.
In 2018, Eileen Higgins took on political insiders and won, and she got to work building thousands of affordable housing units, protecting Biscayne Bay and empowering small businesses. At the same time, Emilio Gonzalez was accused of fraud, protected the political insiders, and allowed city departments to be weaponized against local businesses, and was forced to resign in disgrace. On December 9th, we will deliver change with Eileen Higgins as our next mayor. She'll get things done. Vote Eileen Higgins for mayor.
Welcome back, Marlon. Now, before our break, you were touching on some of the devastation and the needs, and I really want to just dive into that a little bit more, because it's not just food, it's shelter, it's medical and healthcare, it's agriculture, it's tourism. So can you dive in just a bit more and let our audience know the many ways, because there are many people that have different backgrounds and expertise, or they may bring different resources other than just food. So can you touch on some of those dire needs that's still and probably is going to be ongoing for months to come?
As entrepreneurs and as business people and as persons who are ingrained in our communities, right? When you think of life is lifing, right? And there's a disaster in your life. What do you need to get back on your feet, right? So this is a natural disaster. Sometimes you have man-made disasters, right? But in the case of a natural disaster, you have a nation like Jamaica, which has such great intimate ties with the United States and the state of Florida and other parts of the world. They're going through a major humanitarian event, right? So you don't have home, you don't have power, you don't have access to water, you don't have your food the food that you collected to prepare for the storm has now run out. So you need those three basic human needs, right? You need to have shelter, so you need tarps. You may need an air mattress or a cot or a blanket. You may need a solar powered light to kind of get you through this stabilization period, right? In terms of shelter. You also need to retain your dignity, feeling clean, especially for women, feminine hygiene products, deodorant, being able to wash yourself, sanitary napkins, toothbrush, toothpaste. Those kind of things are the second major category of the needs. And then the third is, after you feel somewhat, dignified and clean and you have some shelter, then you need some nourishment, canned protein, canned fruit, protein bars or energy shakes. So those are some of the main emergency relief items. Our partnership with Caribbean Strong and the Global Empowerment Mission, we have sent over 20 planes of relief. So far, over $5.5 million in aid. And many of our supporters and folks who have rallied the call have purchased items, some of those items that are just listed at our Amazon list. Well over 2.2 million in purchases, actually. And then we also have several drop-off locations where folks have collected items, those very same items where volunteers separate them into these emergency family kits that we have at the warehouse.
Great. And so what about other like if there are doctors and nurses out there and they want to go volunteer or they want to send medical supplies and equipment, especially with 4 hospitals being destroyed,
Yeah,
is there an opportunity for that as well?
there's definitely an opportunity for that. If you have any superpower, any skill, or you just have the will and the time and the compassion and the interest, we can find a lane for you. We're currently trying to develop a volunteerism campaign where we can take down certain groups of friends or colleagues or professionals, so that we can be very productive and efficient in supporting the coordinated relief effort. And so we're working that currently. Certainly, the medical professionals have to go through a very specific process, Ann Marie, with the Ministry of Health, and we can certainly point you in the direction of vetting that process for you as a nurse or as a doctor or as a psychotherapist. There's definitely a lane there for people to support. If you're in the agricultural industry out there in South Miami-Dade County, or you're in West Palm, the West Palm Beach County, and you're familiar with how to restore agricultural assets, we certainly could use your expertise. If you have expertise in the tourism hospitality industry and you want to find a way how to support our tourism hospitality workers, or how to help some of those smaller Airbnbs and bed and breakfasts to get back on their feet, we can certainly use your expertise. And if you're just trying to figure out how to help, just go to sflcaribbeanstrong.org. We have a link tree there that you can fill it out, explain what your interest is, what your superpower and your skill is in the world of humanity, and we will just drop you in the right box and the right lane to help Jamaica through this historic recovery period.
Thank you. And I know the holidays are upon us, and some may say, well, here in the U.S. we have our own challenges and struggles. The last several weeks people have been struggling, to get, food. Food banks have been, having challenges with not having enough food. And of course, people are having to really watch their budgets and what they spend, and they're really tight because of just, all the different things, government layoffs, corporate layoffs, et cetera. So how do you encourage our local audience to, still be able to give something and be a part of an effort, including our local efforts where our local residents may be having, some challenges, especially coming into the holidays. How do you encourage people to?
Remember what I said about man-made disasters and natural disasters, right? So the government shut down. We're moving past that, but everyone has it hard, and we have to really empathize with that as well. But faith without works is dead, right? And irrespective of whatever your faith may be, from this Thanksgiving period into the new year, we're asking you to think of Jamaica in a special, unique way, to dedicate your holiday season when you're shopping, or dedicate your holiday season when you're gathering at your place of business, or gathering at your place of worship, or gathering at your home. Put a little extra aside and collect it, and we will even come and pick it up. If it's a whole truckload, we would even come and pick it up, because we can find a place for it to help Jamaica and the tens of thousands of people who are going to be relying on us. And we also have to remember the kids. They're going to be going through a recovery period, trying to understand what has happened here. They had a home the day before, and now they walk outside, there are no trees, there's no water, there's no roof, there's no school, and helping them to kind of understand how to get back on their feet through this period as well. And I think the holiday season and the spirit of our humanity, I think is going to rise to the occasion. And if you're trying to figure out a way how you'd like to incorporate the holiday season in helping Jamaica to recover, we can help you to do that.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take another commercial break, and we'll be right back to just wrap up and tell our audience how they can get involved.
Welcome to the City of Miami Gardens, where purpose meets opportunity. From building tomorrow's infrastructure to answering the call when it matters most, to creating vibrant spaces and smart growth, every role counts. With 4-day work weeks, 100% paid health benefits, generous PTO, and a Florida pension plan, the City of Miami Gardens puts you first. Join the team that's shaping the future.
I'm Eileen Higgins, and I'm running to serve as your next Miami mayor, but with a clear plan. Invest in more housing so that residents can afford to live here. Strengthen public safety so residents and visitors feel safe. Clean up our parks so families have green spaces to enjoy. And restore transparency so people can trust their government. As your mayor, we'll get things done. Miami, this is our time.
I grew up down here in South Florida, so for me, it's a little bit more personal.
For the Mesman & Dover Law Firm, it's about community.
For us, South Florida's our home. You all are our people.
Our family, our future.
The difference we'll make for you, your loved ones, your kids, matters. Because to us, it's personal.
If you need us, call us 24/7 at 866-954-MORE.
That's 866-954-6673. The Mesman & Dover Law Firm, youraccidentattorneys.com.
Welcome back, Marlon. So I love that you said, if you have a company that, there's a way that as we approach the holiday season, that your company can get involved and give back. And I just want to share an example of that because we normally have our holiday party. And so this year, in lieu of a holiday party, we're actually going to be doing a 2-day relief drive at the Mosaic Group offices, one in West Palm Beach and one in Fort Lauderdale. So December 12th and 13th, if anyone's interested in joining us. But that's what we're going to do. So instead of feeding people and partying and having a good time, we're saying, bring out, and we're specifically
listen. You need to still have a good time.
No, you can still have a good time because we're
Turn
still
the
going to
music up.
Exactly. We're still going to have music and a DJ, but we're saying to come out, and specifically we're asking for items for kids, for mothers, for pregnant mothers who have been impacted, kids of all ages. From socks to shoes to toys to whatever, but of course the necessities that is most important right now. So I definitely want you to tell our audience what else they can do, how they can get involved. I know there's volunteer hours at the gym headquarters that you can sign up for. There's an Amazon list. There's many ways. So if you could just share with our audience.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many ways to give. I mean, this is giving season, right? And you never know when the next hurricane may be at your doorstep, right? It could be on the Treasure Coast. It could be in West Palm Beach. It could be in the Keys. It could be in Barbados. It could be in Naples or Tampa, right? And how would you like everyone to respond to help you get back on your feet? So we want to give everyone the option. It's not really the amount that you give, whether it's money or supplies. It's the fact that you actually decide to give. That's really the most important thing, right? So if every listener and supporter of this series here on Legacy decided that, in your family or your extended family or your co-workers or the folks that are in the pews where you are at church, decided that we're going to give, and this holiday season we're going to give to Jamaica. So when you go to SFL Caribbean Strong, Ann Marie, you can give any amount over zero. We have a 100% tax deductible. Is a GoFundMe connected to the Miami Foundation, the U.S. Caribbean Strong Relief Fund, right? So far, we have raised about $90,000 just from 370 people. Okay, so I know that within Legacy, we have hundreds of fans and supporters, right? So the fact is that you have to give. And then if you don't want to give money, right, the money is very important because there are lots of costs. Each plane that delivers relief costs $40,000. And we have done 20 of them, just to kind of give you some perspective. The supplies that we talked about, the shelter supplies, the hygiene supplies, the nourishment supplies, that has to be purchased. So you can purchase it on the Amazon list at sflcaribbeanstrong.org. And then if you just want to volunteer your time, here at the Global Empowerment Mission Warehouse, volunteer hours, 10 to 5 p.m., Mondays through Fridays. Saturdays from 10 to 2, and just check in with us. We would love to have you here to kind of give up your time when you're coming to volunteer. Bring some supplies with you as well. But we want everyone to make a decision using the holidays as a very good reason to give to a cause that's going to help a country that we are so connected to. We are connected to it, Ann Marie, just by blood and family. But truth be told, our economies here in Florida and beyond are also connected to Jamaica through international trade and through family ties and through visitors going there and visitors coming here. So it's not just a normal gift. It's a gift that is really part of us connected as a multinational family.
It really is a gift of life right now. And so I just want to in our final thoughts, just emphasize that if you can't make it to the Miami gym warehouse, there are tons of drop-off locations. Marlon, give us that website again where you can also see where the
Absolutely. The drop-off
are.
locations are in a Google map, sflcaribbeanstrong.org. We also partner with Food for the Poor, that's located in Coconut Creek, which is located in North Broward County and near to South Palm Beach. I mean, you can also go there to volunteer as well. But sflcaribbeanstrong.org will plug you in to donate, will plug you in to know what supplies to purchase, plug you in to know where the drop-off locations are, how you can volunteer. And if you have an initiative that you are working on to support Jamaica and you're looking for additional support or ideas how to magnify, you can also sign up at that link tree at the website sflcaribbeanstrong.org to figure out how you can support Jamaica through this period. You know, there's no other better way, Ann Marie, to kind of leave a legacy. Not only what you do as a professional or as an entrepreneur or as a small business owner, but how are you leaving that footprint and that legacy in your community as well, whether it's stateside or whether it's internationally as well. So we just want to welcome everyone to take advantage of a real opportunity to make an extraordinary impact.
Absolutely. And the Mosaic Group has 2 drop-off locations as well, one in West Palm Beach at our Mosaic Co-work 5840 Corporate Way, Suite 250, and in Fort Lauderdale inside of the LA Lee Mizell YMCA, which is on the 4th floor, Suite 400. So you can drop off there, and also don't forget to join us for our holiday relief drive in December. So look out for that information. And thank you, Marlon, for all that you do. We appreciate you joining us here on Legacy Leaders. And thank you to our audience for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.